When my dad refused to take me to accommodate me a little more like Papa, and he said I should go back to my matrimonial home. And me refusing to go back to my matrimonial home. And that's when I went out to the street. I remember it was 3 a.m. when I left home. So in growing up, things were tough. I grew up in an environment where I could not get enough. So going to school was tough. So ndakakura zvakarema ndikabva ndaenda kuchikoro. But then yeah, ndakadzidza. Although sometimes ndaigona kuita kana makore 2 ndisingaendi kuchikoro when others were going to school. I remember when I was supposed to be in Form 2, I could not attend Form 2. I stayed at home taking care of my siblings whilst others were going to school because there was no money for me to go to school. I got an opportunity to go back to school again. So I went back to school. Because I was older, I could not attend the Form 2. I had to go to Form 3 just like other peers of my age. They were already in O level. So as a kid, I was like, my Form 3, ndozoka Form 2 ashiti. So I had to go Form 3 prior. So I went to Form 3. It was hard. Ndaiverenga, like trying chesho kuti ndivatane nevamwe. So I could read usiku. It was really hard because ndaiva munhu aisawana. Saka zvakaoma. So ndichiverenga kudaro, I managed to pull through. Ndikakwanisa kunyora Form 4 yangu and passed zvakanaka. Although the unfortunate part, ndaidzidza kumusha and I had to walk close to 8 kilometers to school. So kuchikoro kwaiva kure, and we are less privileged kuzvikoro zvekumusha uko. We do not have enough. Even kuchikoro, we do not have laboratories and zvikwanisiro zvakakwana. So I could not get enough subjects that I wished I could do kuchikoro. Ndakangowana mashoma iwayo. And never knew my dreams. So as I was growing up, which I would want to be something in life. So ndakaita neshungu ndikadzidza Form 4 wangu ndikapasa zvakanaka. But then the unfortunate part was iyo inyaya yekutosowana zvinhu zvakakwana. I was cheated nevamwe kuchikoro because I had no enough. Ndandisina uniform yakakwana, ndisina mabooks akakwana like any other kids. But yeah, kumusha zvisinganyanyorwadza because most of the population ndo zvainenge iri vanhu vanenge vasinganyatsowana zvakakwana seti vanhu vekumarowa. So yeah, ndapedza kunyora Form 4, I went out to look for a job and I got a job as a maid. So as I was working there, I managed to save sense zvishoma so that I go to A level because nazvachoneka popo we had just introduced A level at our school. So zvaishamisa kunzi mwana enda Form 5, Form 6-ish. So as a kid and peer pressure and stuff, I was ndakanyengerekawo and I started dating. Me being in love as a kid, this eventually led to me getting married at a very, very young age. So I just managed to finish off my Form 6 and then I got married to this guy that I was dating when I was at school. So all my dreams were shattered because, of course, I do not blame him for everything. I also blame myself. I was a kid, panguva yachona, and ndakwanisa kufunga about tomorrow kuti what am I getting myself into. Saka ininiwo nesazivawo when I was naive and young, ndangopinda murelationship ndikakwanisa kutonopinda marriage nditori mwanana. My guy ndaitondibhadharira like bhutsu dzekuchikoro, kundirukisa, kunditengera kuti mabhuku kuti zvifambe. So when I got married, that's where trouble began. The guy was very toxic and very abusive. I mean, the relationship was abusive. The marriage was abusive. The the guy was kind of, I have injuries. I was beaten. I was physically abused. He beat me. So I think I've got a terminal one where I was beaten by a slave. And then my ear was injured. I even have medication right now. I've got a letter from the doc last week, but I was beaten about 8 years ago. So the ear bled after the slap. At the first course of my marriage, I tried to like contain it. Because she treated her like saying that one already. And looking at the situation back at home, I cannot like leave this marriage and go back home. At about 25 years of age, I already had a bunch of kids. And me having nothing, which I had of myself that this is mine, like lotinini kana kuri kuti zvinhu zvingandipira izvezvi ndosara ndine chakati. I had nothing, only my O and A level certificates, that's what I had. So zvakaoma kudaro, zvinhu zvakaoma zvokuti I have injuries. I endured injuries of being beaten, being insulted, like medical records of me having minor strokes, all those things that I went through in ku marriage ikoko, until this other time I get that enough courage to, oh no, let me just let go of this. And when I got that courage, I went back home. But here comes the story again. They couldn't accept me. They said, oh, you are now burdening us, never now, the stress. At one point, I almost slept in the streets. When my dad refused to take me to accommodate me anymore, like power, and he said I should go back to my matrimonial home. And me refusing to go back to my matrimonial home, he said, then you find a place to stay, because I'm not going to take you here anymore. You're a burden with your kids. And that's when I went out to the street. I remember it was 3 a.m. when I left home, because I was afraid of him assaulting me. So I sneaked out. He said you should leave Manero. And then early in the morning I sneaked out and I went out to town. And then I asked people around kuti pano itaire kuti I can spend the night here, and people were like, Tetri pano ishotengesa like throughout the night. They didn't care to ask kuti why am I asking, because I'd asked as a vendor, because I'm a vendor as well. Kuti, can I sell my stuff here at night? And they said, yeah, it's safe. You can sell your stuff here at night. And to change some accent. Because I've got kids around, how you can just let them sleep here. It's very safe, because it's just in the like my shops. So that's how it was. But then when the neighbors and people like around, like they spoke with me and said, no, what you're doing is not fair. You should be considerate. If you say mwana aidzokere kunorwadza sezviya, and you saw the state which she was when she came here, she was torn, so how could you say it's okay? And people tried to negotiate with them, and then they gave me a ultimatum. I stayed there for a few days, about 3 days, and then I found my own place. I'd saved something like $100 from my savings for my kids' fees. So I used that money to look for accommodation. I managed to survive, and I started to sell vegetables and sweets on the streets to take care of myself and my kids. It was tough, and it's still tough, and I'm still trying to make ends meet. But the lesson that I have with my story is, I know there is a woman out there, there's a lady, a young girl out there, especially from the rural areas. No one was needs this about life in general. They are not exposed. Some of them, they are still living in an era you should learn to wash, you should learn to do household chores only. Some are still like stuck in that kind of teaching. Of course, it's not bad, but there is life I heard of a lady munhukadzi anofunga kuti ave equipped like academically, knowledge in general, kuti ugona zvimiririra. Yet dai ndaiva ndakakwanisa kuti ndiende chikoro ndikadi, I don't think I would be a victim of abuse because I would know my rights. But ndakazobudamo ndakuvara, ndakazobudamo ndava in pieces. Ndakutoona the only option left is to come out of this, because if I do not do this, ndinofa. But then it was late. I may not say it's late. It's never too late, yes. But most of my time was taken nekuda kuita zvinhu zvisiri zvenguva yazvo. So I would encourage young girls out there kuti if you get an opportunity and a chance to get an education, uzvigadzirirawo career, and then you grow up and be mature enough to get into marriage. Because child marriage is like killing lives. I'm a victim, I've been there, and I'm still like trying to heal from the trauma of the things that I went through. Saka, I'm trying so hard to encourage women out there kuti know your worth. Don't rush into child marriages. And sometimes though destiny yako kuti maybe you found your love at that time, but kwandiri is the opposite. It was the opposite. I know there's someone out there who's still stuck panzvimbo yekuti maybe they are being abused. As kuziva kutoita sei. Achishika kuti ndikadzokera kusociety, and also society, how the society can be sometimes. Ndozoita sei, ndotangira papi. It's always important to speak out, like to show up and say something when tisafira mukati. I know this that has happened to me. It's not only happening to me, but it's happening to a lot of women out there, but they are silenced. They do not have a voice. Because so I hope this story inspires someone. No matter situation it may come to pass. So what you have to do is to take the bold step and show up and say something.